Okay, I'll try to make this as quick and concise as possible. I just want to go through some of the updates that we have for the project thus far. Um, I think this is everything. So hopefully this should be the last time you all have to run through it, and we should be good to go. So I'll just list off, and I'll cut the video so that the annotations show on screen, and I'll do my best as we move along to include all of the changes that I've made as we move through the project, so you can confirm that and we're good to go. So for right now, I'll just list them off. We wanted to make it so that each person has a unique experience. We want to make it so that each person in the world you know could come in at any time and be able to experience the narration animations from a first person perspective because of the way that the project was outlined and set up mechanically. It wasn't feasible in every area, so for those that it wasn't, um, I just added a button in place of where there would be an automatic start to the audio based on a collider or a transition, a change in scene. So that's one. Also, I sped up all the transitions for the characters in between the characters speaking and for those that are by themselves when they show up on screen to make it less ethereal or ghost-like. I added kiosks to the dream world. I went through a lot of them, but because you can only use certain shaders with VR chat, only a few of them work. So I settled on one, but again, we can go back in and take a look at that after the demo if it absolutely doesn't work. I turned off the applause for when the characters when we're in the football field and we run into the defenders that are on the field. Bill Russell, I made it so that we can actually hear him. Wasn't sure what was going on with the script, but I got that to work. I got rid of the door in the Mayor Stokes room, so we can just walk through. It took quite a while, but I was able to bake the lighting into the lobby world as it was in the third, the final world of the project, so that the lighting could look a lot better. And it does look a lot better. And we were going to add pictures to the walls. I think I may have added one or two, but with the lighting and the color, I think it already works very, very well. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. Oh, okay. Uh, let's go to start in the lobby. And I had projects that I had to jump back and forth through because the APIs were broken. So I labeled the worlds I was working with as demos, but we can change that. Oh, and it looks like I'll take care of this, but it looks like I need to add a light here for the sign because when I bake the lighting, it looks like it dimmed that out a little bit, but that's working. And there is audio for all of this. I just have it turned down here in the settings. Apologize about that. And whenever you get a chance too, I'll probably include it in the email that I send, but I still need the audio for the final world after the credits come up. Oh, and I also added the, I don't think I added in the list in the beginning, but there's also a section I had to add so that the audio will, or that the credits will fade in only after the actors have finished speaking. So there's that as well. And I may skip forward, but after I edit this, but because I know this takes a while.
declares any laws outlawing interracial marriage unconstitutional. 1967, America is the black man's battleground. 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 America is the black man's battleground.
This is not a battleground, but a public square. Welcome to the city of Cleveland, East Cleveland to be exact. I am Mayor Carl Stokes. Thank you for joining what will be an important day. When Jim Brown called and told me this was happening, I knew I had to be here, and I am so glad you all could join. The first step to change is showing up, and these brothers know about that. As an athlete, you have to show up, but you have to be focused. You have to have your head in the game. And if we're going to see the change we want, we all have to have our heads in the game. Today, some of our greatest athletes gather in support of our champion, Olympic gold medalist, son of the city of Louisville, Muhammad Ali. Some of you remember him as Cassius Clay, but now he is Muhammad Ali. And we are gathered to hear him out and figure out how we best rally around him and his rights and his decisions, because it affects us all. So before we start, take a moment and check your pockets, your luggage, what you bringing in. What are those impossible dreams? What brought you here? What do you want to leave with? You don't have to answer all that now. There will be time.
I don't know if you could see, but of course the door was gone from
Cassius Marcellus Clay, Jr. You are hereby ordered to report for induction into the Armed Forces of the United States and to report to the Armed Forces Induction Station in Houston, Texas. Step forward, Mr. Clay, and join the fight to stop the spread of communism throughout Asia. Step forward.
Step, step, jab, pop it, pop it.
and the transitions are, of course, much faster, but they can always be sped up. I still want it to look like they were fading in and out a little bit.
Step forward, Mr. Clay. Failure to do so is considered a crime. Are you a criminal or a champion? Are you a fighter or a coward? Right now, communism is your sunny listing. Step forward.
Let me talk to him. When the Japanese attacked in 1941, I was in my prime. I had already punched Carnera so hard Mussolini felt it. Punched out Schmeling in Hitler's face. FDR himself squeezed my arm, said, "These the kind of muscles the country was going to need to beat the Nazis." So I made sure I was registered and ready. A1, top of the list. Sure enough, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, mad, furious, you name it. Hell, this is my country. They sneaking up and attacking it. If a fighter had done that to me, I would have smashed him. I'm strictly for fair deals. Give me the rifle, Mr. President. Drop me on the front lines. But they had other plans. They wanted me to raise money, fighting charity bouts. What's the harm there? Base to base, thousands of dollars, the lion's share going to Uncle Sam. 70,000 miles, 96 exhibitions, and been seen in person by about 5 million service members. and millions saw me in newsreels and newspapers. Mr. Frank Capra himself and the government teamed up and made a little film called The Negro Soldier. You didn't know I was a movie star too, did you? This is what I do. Champion in the ring and outside. So step forward.
Ali doesn't step forward, stands grounded in his assurance that he is doing what is right. He can't be moved even for his hero, Joe Louis, because he reads them newspapers too. About Joe Louis and Jackie Robinson in their uniforms, told to sit on the back of the bus. And when they said, "We are servicemen," they were told, "A nigger in a uniform is still a nigger." The war in Japan and Germany ended, but the war on you didn't, did it, Joe? All that money you made for the war effort for the family of dead soldiers, and yet you came home in debt, had to get back in the ring when you knew you had no business in there, suffered humiliation, and now here you are telling us to step forward.
Go on and do what you want. See what happens to you. If I knock you out, you're sore maybe a few days. Uncle Sam knocks you out, you stay out.
Clay, step forward.
Jab. Jab. Move. That's it. That's it. You gonna show the world. You gonna show the world. Can't nothing stop you.
Not Viet Cong. You. Who the opposer? Who the opposer when we want freedom? Who the opposer when we want justice? Who the opposer when we want equality? The ones baton swinging, dog barking, hose shooting, tear gas blasting who? We seen on TV on that Edmund Pettus Bridge one bloody Sunday beating the right to vote out of John Lewis. Not no Viet Cong. Who the enemy? On the other end of the square, out of our weight and class. Performance enhanced, plaster of Paris powder in the glove. The more you sweat, the harder you get. Each hit harder, and we keep getting up. You, my opposer, I want freedom. You, my opposer, I want justice. You, my opposer, I want equality. Want me to go somewhere, fight for you, but you won't fight for me? You, my fog, when I want to see. You, the fire, when I'm trying to flee. Trying to make me the fruit hanging off the bicep of the tree. So yes, I stand my ground, but not too still. Gotta keep moving, ducking, dodging, dipping, flipping that plaster hand. Keep moving, ducking, dodging, dipping. Death, you my.
And for this world, like as we said, as we move through, I'll try my best to keep, to point out some of the changes that we had made, and I'll add a list of them in the email I send, so you'll have it. But I want to, for places like this where everyone is teleported initially into the world, I won't worry about, adding a button or doing the network calls. But for places where, maybe it's like one of the spots in the game where everyone, definitely needs to regroup and be together for the next experience to start, I'll have those queued up. Like here, for instance, I have a button here.
Nazis everywhere. Rugas cocked, barbed wire sharp as the end of a leather whip. The men and I are low.
I added buttons to places like this where, we may transport at slightly different times. But yeah.
I know my spot. But action never comes. It's time for a break. Gotta take it or the union will make trouble. So we all get up and dust our bodies off. The camera operators and best boys walk off for smoke breaks. This picture is called The Dirty Dozen. And I'm having fun. Nice not to be getting my bell rung. Here, when we take a time out, I can walk to the craft services table, get a Danish or a cup of coffee. The director and the effects team are conferencing. A production assistant comes over. Letter for you, Mr. Brown, he says. Go ahead and read it to me, I say. It's from Art Modell, owner of my team, the Cleveland Browns. No relation. No veteran Browns player has been granted or will be given permission to report late to our training camp at Hiram College. And this includes even Jim Brown. Should you fail to report to Hiram at check-in time deadline this coming Sunday, July 17th, then I will have no alternative to suspend you without pay. The movie is behind schedule. I hadn't planned to return. It's the off season, but I don't stop running. I got this need to compete, perform, be seen alive, fighting for freedom, like this Jefferson character I'm playing in The Dirty Dozen. I wrote Art right away, told him not to hold his breath. Jim Brown was ready to form his own team. Jim Brown was playing for himself. Jim Brown was his own director. I tell me when it's time for action and time to cut and when it's time for a break. I called a press conference right there on the set of the movie. I have come to the conclusion that I will retire this season. My ambition right now is to devote as much time as possible to the National Negro Industrial and Economic Union Project, which stresses full participation of Negroes in the mainstream of the American economy. So I understand what Ali's feeling right now, what it means to walk away, but I think he playing for the wrong team. If you gon' walk from the sport, stand on your morals and principles, make sure you are covered. And I don't know that he is. Can't have no black power without green.
This I was talking about with the kiosks. I tried some different hologram assets, and the transparency on the meshes just weren't built for it. So I just added these. I guess they're just like monitor type assets, but and I checked on was it Turbo Squid? I'll try to put a list on the screen, but I think it's Turbo Squid, Sketchfab, Mixamo, and I couldn't find ones that were compatible. The transparencies weren't working; they just really looked terrible. So, tentatively, or if you all don't mind it, we can just use these. But yeah. Okay, 1 second. Okie doke.
My peoples told me to be careful around you, that you might convert me, that your religion is something dangerous, that y'all are violent. Never mind, I've been knocking people around the football field for years, but the way I see it, Jesus makes peace too. He said turn the other cheek, all right, so he can swat it with the cat of nines. You know the story. John 2:13. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And he found in the temple those who were selling oxen and sheep and doves and the money changers seated at their tables. And he made a scourge of cords and drove them out of the temple. Drove. That means he went up there swinging a lash or a switch or something. Says he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And to those who were selling the doves, he said, take these things away. Stop making my Father's house a place of business. Jesus wasn't afraid to fight. You got to make peace, right? Ain't that what they call a revolver? A peacemaker. Well, there you go. Seriously, I bet you that's why they call a gun a peace. I'm telling you. But I told my people worried about you converting me. Look, Ali is a hell of a fighter and a cool brother. He's funny, a good man, and I don't know what the Nation of Islam got him mixed up on, and honestly, I really don't care to know too much. I know my God and he knows me. But on this earthly plane, Ali is my brother and I am my brother's keeper.
And I'll just show here with the collision before there be an applause. So I'm going to try to collide with one of these guys so it can reset me. And of course the applause is gone. Just reset you back. Okay.
I was actually reading a book by your leader, Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad. Overheard some of the brothers in my neighborhood talking about devils, and the messenger thought I'd look for myself. Practice had long been over. He catches a glimpse of the cover and tells me he doesn't want to see that in his locker room or any of his players reading this. I said, "You own this football team, but you don't own me." After we had this exchange, I shut the book and went on home. Next day, when I opened the page, I read, "No nation will ever respect us as long as we beg for that which we can do for ourselves. There has never been a leader of our people who went all out to set up an economic plan for our people. I use the saying of Jesus, all before me were thieves and robbers." They are uncomfortable how much I am inside my head.
And here in a second, the audio that plays for the second speaker wasn't working before, but I'll leave it on. Of course, you can hear that it's now working.
2 eyes up front, 1 in the back of my head. Every move I make is a headline. I didn't invent the skyhook, but nobody oiled it like me. It's unblockable, even when you know it's coming. One game at a time, one quarter at a time, I am the center, the nucleus, and the oddity. And I know that I was placed there not by a coach, not the owner, a higher authority. And to him I speak freely, not journalists, not fans, not even all my fellow players. Only him, and he calls me a different name. What did you do the first time you heard Clay? Did you wear the new name immediately? Pull it over you eagerly, like that jersey after they drafted you? How long did you answer to 2 names?
Everybody asks me what it's like to be a 6'10" black man in Boston playing for a beloved.
Yeah, Bill Russell's
But my
obviously
people
working now.
come from Louisiana. Boston is not Louisiana. My dad one time went into this gas station, and the man told him he had to wait until all the white customers was rung up first. My dad began to leave to look for a different store. Then he heard click, clack. The man pointed a shotgun at him, told him to wait or die. But we're tired of waiting at gunpoint, aren't we? And that's what you're saying, ain't it?
Just going to try to get one of these in before, so you can see oh, well, there you go. So that the collider's working, but yeah. It's one of the changes from the first list of things to change. And see here, this is the area where we have a button going. just because we have the mechanical aspect of the wall moving over and two consecutive speakers. So
We're supposed to take the hits and keep pushing. Warrior code. Our fathers and their fathers, we done fought in every war since 1770 something. Lots of us done it. Ain't no big deal. It's the pictures, it's the exhibitions to make the troops happy. Nobody's gonna put Muhammad Ali on no front lines.
Here's the truth of it. You stand to lose. On the court, the field, the ring, we lose. We fight again, but Lou tears an ACL. That's a loss forever. A shot to the spine, a loss forever. A hit so hard to your head, your brain gets scrambled. And then there's the dollars. Because if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Look at us. Think about the combined value of us right here if they put a price tag on this room. Me and Bob Arum, we were prepared to book your fights. The boys and girls, black kids who seen us get our heads cracked on Edmund Pettus or heard about those freedom riders or those little girls in that church who look at you glide in that ring and know the white muscle on that arm and hammer box ain't the only symbol of strength. Are you prepared? Hell, are we prepared for the cost of that loss? Being here with you now? Because our people, we have picked up yards for sure, but we've been sacked, dog-piled, tripped, pushed out of bounds, and they don't call no flags on the opposing team, no. They look to strangle us with them.
When I was just a boy, I used to love the Lone Ranger, Superman, Tarzan, G.I. Joe, heroes, you know? My pals and I would always ask each other who would beat who. Who would you rather be? Who's the real hero? Lone Ranger did what was right, no matter if it lined up with the law. That's why he wear a mask. He know there might be some repercussions to his idea of what's right. But who want to live under a mask? Superman used every ounce of his power to be good to folks, but he just fell out of the sky like Jesus. Who can live up to that? Tarzan? Well, come on, even as a boy, I knew that was a fib stretched out. White man go to the jungle and now he run it. Matter of fact, I don't even think I actually liked Tarzan. But G.I. Joe, he was it, ready for everything. And the best thing about G.I. Joe, he wasn't a captain or a commander or some fancy general. He was an average Joe, ready for everything. I identified with him. Thing people need to realize is we are soldiers. All of us, really. Enlisted since birth. Them signs that said white only, that's the barbed wire. Water hoses, dogs, tear gas, batons. We all are in the trenches. We go out on them courts and fields. We obey rules of engagement, shot clocks, the bell, no low blows, no hanging on the rim, no mask pulling, and we bring back gold. Championships and glory, we do that. Just 7 years before this summit of 67, Ali went to the Olympics, represented the country in Rome. I imagine him seeing some of the sights, all the beautiful sculptures and relics, and the tour guide telling about why it fell, this great, great Roman Empire, so-called anyway. What was their downfall? And I imagine a myriad of very historically informed intellectual responses but one. Empires built on slaves will fall. God frowns on this practice. Ali will return from Rome with the gold medal, a champion, not just for the so-called colored man, a champion of the United States of all men, and still see barbed wire around half his own city. How I'm supposed to be the champion, but I'm ducked down in the trenches, he will wonder. Told where I can and can't go like a child. They still calling us boys. So this choice I've made ain't about whether the boy does his duty, if he is in fact a loyal subject under the king. We don't sit here in Cleveland to find out if the boy is brave, if the boy is strong, if the boy is fast and pretty. Because we know Ali is fast and pretty. We don't sit in Cleveland to find out what the boy stands for. Stands? It ain't about standing, it's about kneeling, humbling myself before Allah, before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We don't stand here in Cleveland because I am a coward. We sit here because of my allegiance. I pledge my allegiance to the fight for black people to be liberated, because that is what men do.
Okay. We're at the last world. And I added a button here, and at the end,
Clay became a Muslim in 1964.
at the end, you'll see the credits come up.
In my opinion, his trouble started with that. This tragedy and the loss of his title can be traced to that. I have studied the Muslim order, and it is as much political as it is religious.
He has absolute and sincere faith. I envy Muhammad Ali. He has something I've never been able to obtain and something very few people possess. He is better equipped than anyone I know to withstand the trials in store for him. I'm not worried about Muhammad Ali. I'm worried about the rest of us.
Okay, there we have it. And yeah, if you have anything else, any other questions, please get back to me. I'd be happy to take a look and see what else I can do. But yeah, I think it's a big jump forward. I think it's really starting to come together. So, all right, I guess I will cut this video up and be talking to you all soon. Take care.